Hello everyone, I'm Robin the Delta Crafter and I want to welcome you to another video on my YouTube channel. We're going to be making a couple of cards today and we're going to be using the Make Yourself at Home card kit, which is a collaboration between Hero Arts and Joann's. This is a card kit from December and as you can see it is chock full of all kinds of supplies. So let's take a look at them. First up we have some Shimmer Mist from Hero Arts. This spray is in the Frost Shimmer color, and I'm excited to see what that looks like when we spray it on our projects. We also get a tube of the Precision Glue from Hero Arts. This is another product that I haven't used before, so I'm excited to see how that adheres all our pieces together. We get 2 mini ink cubes. The first one is Blue Hawaii, and the second one is Pool Party. These are 2 great colors for winter and for like snowflake scenes, which is what we're going to be creating today. We also get a couple of dies with this set. So we got the large snowflakes and swirls die set, which these are some beautiful snowflakes and I can easily see a pretty scene being made with that. We have the Thanks Message fancy die. The kit also includes the hand-drawn snowflakes bold print background stamp, which I think is absolutely stunning. We also get several pieces of cardstock in this kit. We get 2 pieces each of Paradise, Lapis, Nautical, and white glitter cardstock. All of these are 5.5 by 8.5 inches, which is a great size to use for card making, as well as possibly a card base. In your kit, there'll also be this little card that has some inspirational ideas for how to use the kit and some jumping off points for making some cards. The last thing that's included in the kit is a package of silver embossing powder, and we'll be putting this to use today. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create our backgrounds. We're going to be actually making 3 cards today, so we're going to be making 3 backgrounds. 2 of them will be, all of them will actually be heat embossed with some embossing powder. 2 of them will be heat embossed with white embossing powder, and 1 of them will use the silver embossing powder that's included in the kit. So I'm coming in now with some Versamark ink, and I'm inking up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp that onto some Nina Classic Crest Solar White cardstock in 80-pound weight. All 3 panels that we'll be stamping up today will be that same cardstock. So again, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make 3 different panels with this stamp. So all of them will be stamped and heat embossed with the snowflake detail. So we'll be using that later on and playing that up as we continue making our card. So now that all 3 panels have been stamped, and now it's time for us to apply our embossing powder. So I like to use a white detail embossing powder, which I keep in a large container. And then I just take that with a little appetizer spoon and sprinkle that over my design. And now you can see where the snowflakes were stamped and they start coming to life. So I'm going to sprinkle on some white, this white embossing powder on a second panel. And then we're going to move on to the silver. So this packaging that the silver embossing powder comes in, it's not my favorite packaging, but I understand it's flat, so it makes for the entire packaging of the kit to go a lot easier. But it makes it also hard to kind of keep the silver embossing powder in there once you open it. But just put a paper clip over the opening and you should be good to go. So you can see I'm sprinkling the silver embossing powder on there and you can really see those snowflakes come to life. Now it's time to melt all of our embossing powder. So I like to start on the back of my paper. It gives my, starts to melt the embossing powder from the back. Then when I come to the front, like sometimes a lot of my powder will blow away, but if it's already starting to melt from the back, then it won't blow away when I move my heat gun to the front of the panel. Just a little pro tip there for you. So I've heated up all the panels, melted all of the embossing powder, and now we're going to move into using the included inks that are in the kit. We're going to do some ink blending with these inks, and each panel is going to be ink blended a little bit differently than the others. So for this one, we're going to come in with the pool party first, and we're going to ink that up and lay down a light layer of ink in various different places around the card, kind of being sporadic, kind of like you might see in nature. When you really take a look at the sky or water or anything that is you think is solid color, it's not just completely one solid color. There's variation to the coloring. So that's what we're going to create today with these two different inks. So I got my first layer of Pool Party down. Now I'm coming in with the Blue Hawaii and laying down a light layer of Blue Hawaii. For the second panel, I wanted to use just Blue Hawaii. And so now I'm going to lay down, again, a light layer of ink. And then I'm going to come back in certain places and darken up those areas. It's going to be, yes, it's going to be a solid color, but again, there's going to be variation in this color because it's not going to be laid down evenly. Also, one of the things I want to note about these particular inks is that these Hero Hues or core inks are water reactive. Even though I'm not using the water reactivity today, they are water reactive. So if we were to spray some water on them, they would respond and give us some spotting, which would be lovely. Because we heat embossed our design, make sure you go in and buff away any of the ink that might be sitting on top of our embossed areas so that the embossing really starts to shine again. So moving on to our third panel, which is the silver embossed panel, we're going to come in and we're going to create an ombre effect. So we're going to come in with a light layer of each color. First the Blue Hawaii, then we move to Pool Party. And then we're going to come back in and darken up certain areas of the inking. Again, we're going to rub off and buff away any of the ink that's sitting on top of our embossing. Now that we've got all our panels inked up, it's time to bring in the shimmer spray. We're going to test it out first to kind of see what this shimmer spray actually looks like, and to get my pump started, because you want to make sure that you don't have like those big splatters like that, unless that's what you want. But this gives us an opportunity to see what the spray actually looks like. I don't know if you noticed, but when it first came out, it was real dark, and then it lightened up, and the silvery, shimmery aspect of the spray came to the top, which I thought was really, really nice. So it's not going to be as dark as it may look in the bottle. The shimmer is really going to rise to the top on the spraying when you lay it down. Here's a great example. So I'm going to just go through and spritz each of the 3 panels, and notice that I also am spraying the top area that is not stamped or inked up. We're going to use that a little bit later too. No paper is going to go to waste in this creating of these cards. Spraying and spritzing up the third panel. So now all the panels have the shimmer detail. I just used a cardboard box that some of my supplies have come in before as my spray box, and it has worked perfectly for me. I do tape up the 3 of the sides so it creates a high panel shield on the sides. I'm recycling by finding another use for the box, and I can easily throw them away when they get too saturated. So off camera, I used the tops of our spritzed panels to die cut the word thanks using the thanks die cut fancy die that was included in the kit. I cut that out of that spritz panel as well as out of some white cardstock several times, and now I'm layering all of those pieces up together, and I'm using that precision glue that was included in the kit. I'm also going to be offsetting one of the white die cuts so that it gives our sentiment just a little bit more dimension, and it helps to stand out on our background as well. So I'm just placing an acrylic block over the sentiments and giving them a second to dry and adhere really nicely. I did die cut one of the sentiments out of the included white glitter cardstock, so you'll see that one on as well. If you take a look at the sentiments, you can see how I've offset the white back layers from the inked up or glittered top layers. This is going to give our sentiments just a little bit more depth and girth so that it stands out a little bit more. So off camera, I decided to go ahead and use the included colored cardstock as my card bases. So I kind of matched them up with the panels that I felt like the colors went with best. And then I added some foam tape to the back of our panels so that they would stand up and pop up from the card bases. I really love these colored card bases. I think I might start doing this a little bit more. I typically use a white card base, but this has given me and inspired me to use colored cardstock as a card base more in the coming year. So now I'm just going to peel off the backing paper from the foam tape and apply my panels to my card bases. So I wanted to add a little bit more shimmer and sparkles to the cards. So I just grabbed some of my gems that I have on hand here. You can see I have quite the large jar of them. And placed some different sizes around my cards and glued them down with the precision glue. And once I did that, the cards were complete. Let's take a closer look at all three of the cards. And I am just so very happy with how the cards came together, using this card kit from Hero Arts and Joann's. You can find this card kit on the Joann's website, and I'll try to leave a link on below in the description to this particular card kit. Thank you all for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. As always, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Delta Crafter, as well as on my website, thedeltacrafter.com. All the products I used today, or as many of them as I can, I will list and link below as well as on the coordinating blog post. Thank you guys again and have a great day. Bye-bye.